Hello and welcome to day 2 of YCS Melbourne 2018. I'm here with Adam Tuzel.
Apparently. Changed my name in the last 24 hours since you saw me, it looks like.
Yeah, you just really wanted to play in the tournament, didn't you?
Maybe, yeah. Hey, there we go, it's back.
Okay,
I'm Lockie Porters again.
I'm here with Lockie Porters. How's it going, Lockie?
It's going good. Bit of a personality crisis, but I think I'm back to being me, so this is good. Alright.
Okay, so we are here. We have 2 more rounds of Swiss before we make a top cut. So
Yeah, exciting times.
Yep, so the top 128 players were cut down yesterday, so we just have 128 players to play our last 2 rounds of Swiss. And we decided to go with a bubble match for round 8.
Yeah.
So we have, what do you got?
We got Bowden, last year's runner-up, piloting his Spiral deck. He's playing the Go second Spiral build.
Yeah, and Chris Mateski, who is playing Spiral also.
Very similar build as well.
Yeah, very similar lists. Very similar. So, are there any notable differences between the 2 decks?
Only a couple. Bowden's playing 41 cards as opposed to 40. He has 3 Foolish Burial Goods to Chris's 2. And with the traps, he's playing 2 Rescue, 2 Evenly Matched, to Chris's 1 Rescue and 3 Evenly Matched.
Okay.
Extra deck, all the same except for 1 card. Bowden is playing Trigate Wizard, and Chris has Totally Awesome as a target for his cherries, shooting side.
Interesting.
Well, he's maining it, I believe. He is indeed maining it.
Interesting. Well, let's see if these subtle differences make any difference in the match. Let's move on over to the table.
And Bowden is going first, we have been told.
Yeah, the chances are...
So Chris is obviously won the dice.
Yeah,
roll.
Chris won the die roll, yeah.
Bowden choosing to set 1 and pass.
Okay, so Bodan didn't open all that great. I think this is... no, this is Bodan's hand. So Bodan opened Terraforming, Spiral Mission Rescue... Oh no, it's not Rescue, sorry, Assault. Assault? Yeah, Assault. Super Agent, and then 2 Ghost Reaper and Winter Cherries. So obviously he's not too happy at the minute. But yeah, he probably just set Assault and then passed, because he just wants to Winter Cherries and try and stop Chris's play.
Remove that double helix before it becomes an issue.
Yeah. Yeah, so we saw this happen yesterday, didn't we, where there was a bit of cat and mouse going on. Where
no one wanted to start, everyone was holding the cards waiting to see what their opponent did.
Yeah, nobody wanted to play.
And we may be seeing that right here.
Yeah. So Chris is, we can see here, so Chris opened Foolish Burial Goods, 2 Ash Blossoms, Gamma, and Quick Fix, and his 6th card must have been resolved.
He's added the Super Agent to his hand.
So you can have a guess.
Interesting to see if he decides to go, whether he goes for the guess and tries to open up, or whether he waits to see what Bowden wants to do.
Okay.
Yep, he's going to...
he's using the Assault to be able to do that. Yeah, that actually guarantees him the combo here, as opposed to needing to guess. Yeah. So he can just get Drone, normal summon Drone, and guarantee Super Agent.
His drone is at the field. Bowden handing Chris the cards for Drone's effect. Yep. And as thought, Bowden has activated Winter Cherries, no doubt to remove the double helix from the game. Certainly has, with a wave to us on the camera.
So, yeah, that getting taken away quite quickly for Chris Mateski here. So even though Bodan did manage to resolve that Winter Cherries, I do think that Chris is, still reasonably ahead here.
He does have the knowledge, knowing what Bowden's top card is when it comes to his hand, as well as the Super Agent in his own hand, should he choose to continue his play here.
Yeah. Let's see where Chris decides to go here. I mean, both of these...
He is playing Princess Sprite, so it looks like, yep, he'll overlay into that.
Yeah, it's interesting. These guys, both, world competitors. So You know, this is kind of the highest level of spiral play you're going to get to see. Let's see where Chris decides to go here. What do you think he's going to do now that he's lost those double helices? Helices.
Helices.
Yeah. What do you think he's going to do?
Well, look, it appears that he's summoning his super agent. Now, let's have a look quickly at his extra deck, what he has available.
So he's going to take out that back row from Bodan, but it was pretty much a bluff anyway. He's kind of pleased that that's going to get sent to the graveyard because that might open up his options for next turn.
I don't think Bodan has any problem with that.
No, his problem may now be that his life points are not enough to withstand Chris's assaults.
Bodan still has that second Winter Cherries in hand as well, should he need to use it.
Yeah, I think at this point, if Chris cannot OTK here, then Bodan is in a reasonable spot to come back, but it all depends on what Chris decides to do here.
Do we think he takes out the Borrow Load or the Decode Talker with his second Cherries?
Well, yeah, so he can't play another Cherries this turn.
No.
So
for next turn.
Yeah, for next turn. I don't think. Well, yeah, depends on what Chris decides to do for next turn. He's likely to use a bit more of his extra deck this turn. Chris is really struggling. Seems a bit distracted. He's thinking about what to go into. I would expect him to have seen this kind of situation before, though. So.
Surely this is the first time we've lost double helix.
No, exactly.
Especially not in this weekend's tournament.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so at the moment, it's a pretty kind of, I feel like Chris is ahead right up until he stops playing this turn. If he can't do anything more, then Bodan's going to be in a good spot because he's got enough to combo now because he's got Assault in the graveyard.
Let's see what Chris chooses to search for here.
Yeah, I was going to say
big red.
Probably big red because then he can make a link play and then use
Bring
big
back.
red.
Yeah.
If only he had double helix, that's where we'd be going with that right now.
At a double helix, I think we'd see a pretty impressive board right now. Unfortunately, Cherries was able to hit it early.
Yeah, so I think.
Appears he's looking just to attack the life points, put some damage on Bodan.
Yeah, our judges here have applied some slow play warning because it's taken quite some time here for Chris to make his plays. You'd expect him to, be able to make these in reasonable time.
There's Decode Talker. Super Agent back on board. Drone as well. At least putting some decent attack points on top of that Decode Talker as well as targets for him he chooses to negate. Chris does have two Ash Blossom in hand, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Send a Firewall Dragon.
Yeah, so Chris realizing, well, the judges realizing that he actually summoned Diko Taka with just 2 monsters.
Ah.
Which is not allowed.
No. Good if it was.
Yeah. So, having a bit of a rewind here.
Preparing the game state.
Okay, so I think we're fixed.
We got there in the end.
Yeah, so... Now that's fixed. Chris is going to continue to figure out where he's going to go. Chris is now going to spend a lot more time thinking about it. Seems to be spending quite some time thinking about this turn. Obviously, you know, he's just had to rewind the turn, but you'd expect him to have been in this situation before, right? You'd expect him to have played this matchup enough.
Surely in round 9 of this tournament, he's lost his Helix before.
Yeah, exactly.
So there's a decode with 3 materials to make it.
Yeah. So correctly making the Diko Taka now.
And the big red. Yep. And there's the agent back on board. Yeah.
So we're still in this...
Attacking with both of them.
We're still in this same turn where, you know, we're waiting to see if Bodan can make a comeback here. If Chris is unable to deal enough damage to win the game here, then Bodan's absolutely got a chance to make a pretty decent board next turn.
I think Chris has just ended his turn after attacking with the 2 cards. Adding the card back in for it with Resort, which I believe is what's happening right now. Yeah. So Bodan's drawing for turn. So Chris did manage to put 4-7 on Bodan's life points, leaving him on 3-3. It appears Bodan drew that terraforming for turn, I believe.
Wow, yeah, that's pretty good. He was very close to being kind of having a good, really, really good hand.
Chris does have the Ash in his hand.
So what options do Bodan have here?
Well, he's added the quick fix of the Resort there. Just trying to remember what he had left in his hand. It seems like so long ago.
Yeah, it's hard to say, I guess. So yeah, he's got a super agent. He's got the terraforming to be able to search whatever he wanted.
Ah, so he already had the terraforming. There we are.
Yeah. So he must have drawn. Oh no, I think he's just searched quick fix. Yeah. So yeah, where can he go now that he's got this quick fix?
Has a few options. He has the super agent in his hand. If he can get his own Helix out without being disrupted by Chris,
yeah, so I think Chris just
has
has
game
Ash.
Turn around.
Yeah, Chris has Ash, so that double Helix isn't going to make much of a difference. So if that is going to happen, then I think that Chris is pretty reasonably far ahead, because double Helix is just going to sit there and be like, well, I didn't do what I was supposed to do.
Not being a very good spy.
No, an awful spy.
There is the drone though.
Yeah.
So he can guarantee his super agent will hit the field.
Okay. Well, that sounds like Chris dropped his Ash Blossom. He wasn't actually discarding it. So he's not used it yet. Still got it. Judge just quickly taking a spy for himself so he can see.
Judges are also excellent spies.
Yeah, they're great spies. Power of the Judge shirt. You can get it anywhere.
Just that confident.
Yeah. So he's going to give him Drone, Gamma, and Foolish Railguns.
There we are. Bowden will be summoning his super agent to the field, as expected, destroying Chris's resort.
Bowden just quickly giving his whirlwind hand there. Thought he was trying to conjure a tornado, but no.
Oh, he conjured the resort back to the field.
Not ideal for him.
Needs to work on his conjuring skills, I think.
Yeah. Okay, so Bowden boosting his super agent there. That's a good line of plays, I guess, if he thinks that he may end up not being able to use his double helix successfully. Well, he obviously saw the Ash Blossom, so he's trying to play around that right now, which makes sense.
I think it ended up working well for him in the end.
Yeah, oh, that was Chris. Unfortunately, Chris accidentally dropped it.
Well, I think, does Bowden just end his turn here? Does he go into something? Has he got any options left in his hand? Knowing that, of course, Chris does have that Ash Blossom.
Yeah, exactly. I think Bowden's got to play around that, but he's, it's not like it's going to disappear. It's going to be there forever now.
Still be there next time.
Yeah. Both players here seem to be struggling to kind of play regular situations. It's quite strange.
The pressure of being on the feature match.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks as if Bowden has ended his turn, shuffling his drone back into the deck with the resort's effect. And see what we will see from Chris this time. Chris just checking through, seeing what he has available left to him.
Chris has got to really think this out now.
So be it. So Bowden does know that Chris has drawn the drone for turn, putting it there with his own drone.
So we were talking about this yesterday in round 7, I think it was, about this amazing tech card that that was being played, and Bowden is actually playing it as well. He's playing two Ghost Trick Jack Frost in his side deck.
The cool card.
The cool tech card. So we may end up seeing that during next game. Next game.
Certainly be fun to see it again.
Yeah, Chris having a quick spy again.
Tough and terraforming, and is that evenly matched as well? Judges having another quick spy as well.
Yep. Let's have a look, see what he decided to rearrange those cards at. So evenly matched, Spiral Tough, and Terraforming.
So Chris not too worried about the evenly match at this point. Or maybe it's more he doesn't want Bowden having Tough or the Terraforming to search a second resort.
So this is kind of a, not really, I wouldn't say an unusual situation, but it's kind of, this is not the regular situation for spirals. You know, neither of them
is not.
Neither of them have been able to do this huge combo, but they're both at the point where they're actually having to just reuse their drones over and over to.
And well, it's worked for the moment. He has removed Bowden's super agent from the board.
Yeah.
Chris taking a quick drink for refreshment.
Yeah, it is warm. It is warm. I was actually in a taxi this morning, in my Uber, and I was talking to the taxi driver, and he was like, "Oh, you know, where are you from? What's going on?" I was like, "Yeah, it's a bit warm," and it was like 15 degrees, and he was like, "What, are you joking me? This is cold. This is freezing cold." I was
It's
like,
the middle of your summer, isn't it?
It's the yeah, exactly. So he's like, it's the middle of summer here. We have somebody in chat asking about Pot of Desires in Spiral. What do you feel about?
We had this yesterday, didn't we? Where we had the conversation where there are too many one-offs in the Spiral deck, I feel, to play the card.
Yeah, I think it's, so. There's definitely I think there's definitely more to it than kind of either of the simple arguments of there's one-offs, so you definitely don't want to play it, and well, it just gives me consistency. Like, I think because of the way that Spiral functions, they have a lot of search cards. If you can use your resort to get those one-offs out quickly, then I think, you know, playing Pot of Desire is reasonable, but you're never going to be able to use it in the same way that you do, you know, decks where you have like 3 of everything, because if you've got 3 of everything, you can, you know, just slam down Desires whenever you really feel like it and just have more cards.
It's like, surely one will be left.
Yeah, exactly. Whereas you do have that kind of that issue where if you do like banish Quick Fix or banish Drone and banish Master Plan, you know, banishing these one-offs. Sleeper as well. Yeah, Sleeper is actually probably the worst one to banish. Then you end up really kind of struggling through the game. But yeah, I think it's certainly worth thinking about if you're able to play it in the right way.
I think so.
But it's not. I don't think it's as effective as playing it in like a you know, a deck that you can just have 3 of everything. Certainly not.
Certainly not.
Then again, in stuff like Trickstars, it's quite difficult because you don't really want to be playing Desires because you don't want to lose any of your Lycorises.
Yes.
That you need all 3 of those to be able to do it.
And Bowden unfortunately had to end his turn with 1 monster set and 1 card set in his spell and trap zone. Not ideally what a Spiral player wants to end their turn on.
Getting some more Spiral questions from the same person. But that's okay. We can answer Spiral questions while these guys are going through they're struggling for resources. So is Spiral Master Plan the glue that holds the deck, in your opinion, or Double Helix the better card? So I think
That's a good question.
Those are like, that's not really
because they both kind of need each other.
Yeah, exactly. Sense. Yeah, that's exactly right. I was trying to figure out a way to say that.
Yeah, one without the other wouldn't function. So I think they're both evenly important in the Spiral machine.
Well, Master Plan without Double Helix would be relatively, I don't want to say useless, but would be less effective than
requires 2 tributes to get out at that point.
Yeah, well, I think there'd be other ways that you'd have to do it. You'd have to do it with like Assault or, you know, ways like that, like other ways, and or, you know, doing it that way, getting it with Big Red, things like that. So
we have seen people use the Double Helix successfully after losing the Master Plan this week.
Exactly. So I think the other way around, where if we didn't have Master Plan but we started Double Helix, I think Double Helix is still pretty strong, being able to just go and get whatever you want.
It sure is.
It just happens to be that
Master Plan at the moment is the best
option. Yeah. Yeah, like this is a really kind of weird example that isn't quite the same, but I remember back when I think it was Jeff Jones was playing Harpies, he was playing one-off copies of Harpy's Pet Dragon so that he could make Dracosac. And I think that was really clever because, yes, it was probably the most ideal one, but you only wanted to play one. That was actually when we started seeing more decks, just after, maybe 6 months after that, or a year. I got it. All the time blends into one, lucky, it's hard stuff. Was when
well, there's a Master Plan.
Sorry to cut you off. There's a good
way of bringing it out.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So
sorry to cut you off. Continue your story.
The where we started to see decks, mainly Garnet, where people were playing, like, you always played decks where you didn't have cards that you didn't want to draw, whereas nowadays there are quite a few examples of decks where you just didn't want to. There are cards you play in your deck that you just don't want to draw ever. You don't want to see it.
Surely. So we have the second tough now on board for Bowden after finally seeing the Double Helix for the first time in this game.
Yeah. So yeah, back to this game here, we're starting to see that Bowden has been able to really take control of this board.
Though he's double tough, you might say.
Yeah. So yeah, eventually it seems to have been that, you know, Bowden's ability to have his Double Helix not taken away by Chris here has been able to, you know, allow him to overcome the game here. Or at the very least, it's kind of, you know, it looks that way right now. It's actually quite interesting commentating without being able to see their hands all the time.
I think it's the first time this week we've seen Baguska on the stream.
It is the first time we're seeing Baguska.
This certainly shut down Chris for his next turn if he can't get rid of that Baguska.
Yeah, absolutely.
Bowden has turned what looked like a match in Chris's favour around.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks to his double tough tops.
Yeah. I think... yeah, we're just looking at some translation here. Yeah, it's interesting to see how I was describing this in back in London. We had a perfect example of the way the Spiral matchup kind of works. It was the same in Prague, to be honest, where, you know, the two Spiral decks kind of have these big wrecking balls of their combo, where they're able to just kind of smash into each other. And as soon as that happens, they're kind of both scrambling for resources. Whoever's able to then like pick up the pieces fast enough and just kind of hurl it at their opponent is it seems to be the one that can kind of move along. And cards like Winter Cherries, where you're taking away really key parts of, you know, that kind of secondary. It's obviously used in the primary combo, but you know, having that second one to recover with is vital in the mirror match, especially.
So this is what are we seeing? Adding the Super Agent back to his hand. Don't know how many options Chris has at this point.
No, I think Chris is going to really struggle. There's not much to be done here. Oh yeah, I think
Bodan called spell and monster on top.
I think it was a trap.
Oh, trap.
Yeah, I think it was a trap on top, which you are just unlikely to ever want to call.
With the he's playing 4 traps in his deck. I think we've seen 2 of them already. So it's very unlucky for Chris.
Yeah. So Bodan here making the most of Baguska. I love Baguska. Looks so awesome.
It's a great card.
Yeah, I mean, both players here really have out of, not completely out of resources, but it's, you know.
Yep, he's searching with his, he's throwing down the driver.
Yeah, there we go. So
Chris is like, okay, that's enough.
Yeah.
Let's move to game 2.
So that was a full 30-minute game. Wow, that took quite some time.
It's going to make our game 2 and maybe 3
yeah.
even more interesting.
Yeah, well, so the difficult part for Chris Metesky here is he's not got much time to play through this, and you know, not just him but Bodan as well. They seem to be struggling to really get going with their plays. Obviously, you know, they're playing. They both understand that they're 2 very good competitors, and they don't want to misstep at all.
Certainly not. Especially this late in the rounds, right before the top cut.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I think both of these guys, they've been to enough tournaments, they understand that it is, you know, this is the bubble match. It is vital. Bodan was
finally showing something. I'm assuming it's the Ghost Tricks Jack.
I think it probably was.
It has to be, right?
Yeah, I think it probably was. Now he's chuckling to himself. Unfortunately, he did show it to the wrong camera.
That's okay.
Yeah, that's all right. We can guess what it was. If not, we can pretend. We can pretend it was that.
Unless maybe he's very proud of his 3rd evenly matched he has in this side.
That would be weird.
Like, look, I have 3.
Yeah, that would be super weird.
I think it was the Jack Frost.
Yeah, that would be very weird if he was like so terribly proud of that.
Who would have thought that we'd see 2 Jack Frosts in our feature matches this weekend?
Yeah, that certainly would be interesting. It reminds me of the time where we saw Jake Quincy, who happens to be here. You guys may have seen his interview where we saw him play Battle Fader. We were discussing that the other day, me and Jake, when we were interviewing him. It's very funny.
Battle Fader certainly is a viable card though in any format. We saw it with that Grand Maju deck as well.
Oh, you love that Grand Maju deck.
I do. 34,300. It's the number of this weekend.
It's a lot of life points. For those of you who didn't get to see that, which round was it? Was it like round 5 or 6? Oh, yeah, I have notes.
Oh, we have notes.
Yeah, I have notes. Round 4.
Round 4, yeah. There we go. Be interesting to see what his highest life points were this weekend.
Yeah,
I might have to go talk to him later and find out.
I think that was pretty big.
That may have been it.
Yeah.
Unless he had a game where he opened 2 or 3 of them, probably.
Yeah.
Then we might have seen the 6 digits. We can only hope.
So actually, the interesting part of this is Bodan ended up going first, which means that so we don't actually know who won the dice roll, but Chris Metesky here was, you know, he was playing go second Spiral as well, wasn't he? So
they both
wanted to go second. So it's likely that he won the dice roll. So even though Bodan lost the dice roll, he still won the game. That's an interesting.
I think the choice not to extend on that first play, knowing that you had the cherries in hand to counter Chris's play to get rid of the Helix.
Yeah.
I think he banked on the fact that if he did that, Chris would not be able to get lethal damage on him. And on his next turn, he'd be able to turn it around, which seemed to be what happened.
Yeah.
Have we seen what they've sided in and out?
Let's have a quick look, see if our judges managed to snap some quick pictures. Don't think so. Oh, that's fun. So, yeah. Okay. Quickly moving on. We didn't get any pictures of the opening hands here, but we definitely saw that Chris Metesky here played Lullaby of Obedience and took his opponent's sleeper. That's super fun.
That certainly is an interesting opening play.
That's a cool tech.
Certainly makes things a bit harder for Bodan here.
Yeah, that takes a key card away, and Chris as well has Gofu. Of all the cards you want when going first, that's a pretty good one.
That is.
That's a pretty good one. That's essentially
that's your one card deco talk we were talking about all weekend.
Yeah. Bit of thievery happening in the venue here. That's so cool. I love that.
Spying and thievery.
Yeah, spying and thievery.
All kinds of deception.
Yeah, that's what spirals are all about. I like Lullaby of Obedience. I knew that when it came out, it was one of those things that you knew eventually it was going to make a big difference to the game, right?
Certainly.
You knew, and I think even kind of, you know, even now we may not have seen the best example of it. Then, you know, there's probably a lot more applications that are really good.
Chris summoning his drone. Gonna get a look and see what Bodan has on his deck.
Yeah.
There's a big red floodgate trap hole and max C.
Yeah, as you can see, the sun.
As you can max see,
the sun has come out here in Melbourne. All of the Australians were abusing me earlier this morning, because apparently I've been saying Melbourne wrong. It's Melbourne.
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 Melbourne, mate.
Melbourne, mate. I can't do it.
We'll teach you yet, mate.
I can't do a good Australian accent. It's not good.
It just comes natural to me, I think.
I think so. If you've been here longer than me.
My whole life, actually.
Exactly. By quite a lot, yeah. Just don't worry. One day we're gonna bring one of you guys over to the UK. And
yeah, you can laugh at us then. That's fine.
Yeah.
Then we get to laugh at you now. So
yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah. That's
it goes both ways.
It goes both ways. Yeah. Okay. We have another question. So, why have Spiral players incorporate Spiral Tough in the main deck? Isn't Drone the better normal summon? What do you think?
Well, I mean, we saw Bodan last game using the Tough to turn the game around.
Yeah.
Without the Tough,
yeah,
he couldn't get over Chris's agent, which was boosted by the drone. Speaking of,
absolutely. No, I think that Tough is. It's not necessarily that Tough is better than, better than Drone, for example. Just, you can't play as many drones anymore.
Obviously,
and it's.
So it's certainly worth playing the Tough, even if you save the Tough for your second turn and Drone at the start to see what your opponent has.
Well, this is the thing, with you going second, Tough is, pretty good. And I think that it was the kind of next in line as far as good Spiral cards were concerned to be able to be played. Don't get me wrong, I think that Drone is fantastic.
This is the reason it went to 1.
Yeah, it was incredibly underrated when it was incredibly underrated when it came out. Matt and I were discussing Spirals before Double Helix, and we were saying, like, this deck is still really strong. You get to rearrange your opponent's draws.
And essentially know what they, short of them searching the deck, know what they have for the next 3 turns.
Exactly. So, and, you know, yeah, there's a lot of searching. So it's, you know, it's less likely that you're going to get it for all 3 turns, but it's possible if you get the right card. And
or your opponent has the wrong card.
Yeah, exactly, on the top of the deck. And essentially, you are taking away 1 card from your opponent's hand by making that card not the best one. You see what I mean?
Yeah,
obviously, you know, it's if you make your deck in such a way where you want almost every card in your hand, then there's never going to be a bad example, a bad card for you to rearrange the top of drone. But
there certainly are cards that come up at the wrong time.
Yeah, exactly, and you can make the best decision based on what you see.
Certainly.
Yeah, I'm a little confused that Chris just made a Borreload Dragon. Yeah. That's all he wanted. Oh, thanks, Chris. We've not had a single player that have seen the playmats and decided to fix them.
Here you go, the Super Agent, and what's that? Mind Crush on top of his deck. One of the cards he's sided in. So he sided in Mind Crush and Lullaby of Obedience, we'd assume at least, at this point.
Yeah.
Do we know what else Chris has in his hand? Obviously he has the Sleeper, as we see there in one of Bowden's white slips.
We're just about to get to overtime here. We have 10 seconds left. Chris here having a quick reread of Borreload Dragon.
Yep, here's a Helix as thought. And Chris just flashes his hand then. Do we see what he had in it apart from the Sleeper?
Say again, Lockie? My brain went. I was listening to the words, but they didn't go in.
In one ear out the other?
Yeah.
Still waking up. Okay, that's a quick fix. I was just trying to find out what the 3rd card is in Chris's hand.
Yeah, quick fix. I think it was in a monster.
Sleeper.
It is.
There's one more. Doesn't seem to want to show us it though.
Yeah.
As yet, we have hit time. Master plan on board, but unfortunately, no Sleeper to get with that. Chris has stolen it for himself. Maybe looking to put Bowden to sleep with his own Sleeper. For the sake of another bad pun on this weekend.
The last card was Spiral Tough.
Ah, there we are. What are we going to see come out here? Borreload the Borreload, maybe.
Yeah, I think that's going to be it. I love Borreload taking Borreload. It's just so fun, and you don't have extra space for a second Borreload. This was actually something Matt and I was discussing back in London when we were casting the completely unimpeded Spiral deck about. Because you could essentially, you know, spit out Borreloads quite easily because, you know, the deck could produce a lot more monsters back then. And
with 3 quick fix in the machine duplication, for example.
Yeah, exactly. So you could just make multiple Borreloads, and we were really starting to question whether people were going to start playing 2 Borreload Dragons at one point, which was quite a fun thought to think about. Because I mean, you know, back in Dragon Rulers. When people kept playing like 2 big eyes because they didn't have space for a 3rd, and then people really needed the 3rd big eye because you just that big eye wars, and whoever played the first big eye was at a disadvantage.
And now it seems like that's where we are with the Borreload situation as well.
Yeah, well, I think it's less so than back in London format, but yeah, it's really odd looking at Chris's hand because he's got Bodan's Sleeper.
It's like. Bowden's always going to know where his Sleeper is at least, which is a good thing. Hopefully he gets it back after the game.
Yeah. Oh dear, that.
Oh, there's the fucking trap hole.
It's actually really unfortunate for Chris here because at this point, Chris is unlikely to be able to actually top because it's going to be a draw for him at best right now.
Yeah.
So if it is a draw, then both of the players are possibly out.
Does he have a way around those Borreload Dragons? That's a big question.
Yeah. It's just the drawback of Swiss, unfortunately, that at this point Chris is kind of, you know, Chris is at a disadvantage here because he lost game 1. You know, it definitely wasn't a one-sided situation. Both players were taking quite some time. in the first game.
Fortunately, that's what it can turn out to be when you get these spirals go second matchups.
Yeah, actually, now that the judges just informed us, so the clock, because they had some time extensions due to some slow play warnings, time has not yet been called. So we have still got a bit more time. So Chris may be able to do it if he can really get some damage on the board quite quickly. But I think we're getting very close. I don't know the exact time. Okay, yeah, I think we just hit time.
So turn 0 called on Chris.
Yeah, so Chris has been able to use his drone previously. We only just got the picture through to put winter cherries on top. So Bodan's not gonna want to see that right now.
Certainly not.
The trap card we just saw was Floodgate Trap Hole.
Card that makes it very scary to overlay in that extra monster zone.
Yeah, absolutely. If you lock down that extra monster zone, that's super scary.
With no way of flipping it back up due to the effect of Floodgate.
Yeah.
Makes some very interesting games, to say the least.
You essentially can just sit there forever, build
wait
a
until
board.
You have what you want,
yeah,
and then I'll take the game now,
yeah,
thanks.
Yeah.
Surprised it's a card we haven't seen more often. I suppose it is quite a link-heavy format, though, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh yeah. The extra monster zone is so important right now. I think Floodgate Trap Hole is a really good shout.
Spire Resort on top of the deck for Chris.
Yeah, wrongly called by Bodan by the looks of it.
Fortunate for him.
Yeah, it feels a little strange here because, you know, they're in time now, and you know, Bodan seems to be struggling here.
I think it's all come down to Chris opening that lower lie of obedience.
Yeah, well, not only that, but he seemed to not do much with that afterwards.
Yeah. Because Bodan did manage to get his double helix into the master plan, but
yeah,
his favourite target, unfortunately for him, in Chris's hand.
Yeah.
So he's going to add the spiral, another spiral tough. Bodan relying a lot on the spiral tough for this round 9. I'm looking to normal summon the tough. Doing a few calculations.
Yeah. Tap.
Yeah. I think he sees if he can attack over that with tough, if there's enough points there.
Yeah.
He has a 3,000 borrow load. Get to the quick fix, and I think that's game.
He's gonna randomly mind crush something. I don't.
Which card's which? I think.
I don't know what's going on.
I don't either. Oh, look, there's a sleeper back in his own graveyard where it belongs. And I think that was just for a bit of fun at the end there. The 3,000 of borrow load was enough for game.
Absolutely.
Let's see Bowden go 2-0 against Chris.
Let's talk a little more about that in our post-match discussion. And we're back here. So that was a long match. It felt very long. That first match took like 30 minutes.
Yeah, it made it very difficult for going into that game too for both players, that's for sure. Knowing the time was a factor at that point.
Yeah, absolutely. So there was quite a lot of kind of big decisions to be made in that first game. Both players were really struggling. You can tell, you know, they're in the feature match area. People struggle to kind of move things along sometimes because they're really wanting to make the best decision. Yeah, in the end of it, they kind of both grinded out their most important combos at the beginning. Neither of them really got like a huge combo going, but Bodan initially was able to use Winter Cherries to take away his opponent's double helix.
I think that really slowed Chris down at that point.
Absolutely. I think Chris had an amazing combo setup if he was able to use that double helix during that first turn. But inevitably, Bodan was able to keep grinding it out. We had a couple Spiral Toughs ended up on the board.
The double tough for the game.
Yeah, and that was it. And then obviously we were getting pretty close to time. That second game, same again. Neither of them really did a huge combo.
Both with a slow start.
Yeah, Chris ended up with just borrow load. He didn't do anything more than that, which seemed weird.
And then Bowden decided he'd take his borrow load with his borrow load.
Yeah, yeah. Back to the old big eye situation.
Yeah.
It was, you know, whoever played the first big eye was seemingly the one that lost.
Yeah, lost their big eye.
Yeah. Okay, well, that